Hey crafty friends, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for clicking on this video today. I appreciate it. Today I have two different things, but they're both shakers. I have some shaker tags and then some shaker ornaments. So they're just a little bigger and they could definitely double as tags as well. The first one that I'm making is from Fawn, and the other day I used this die set. It's called Say What gift tags, and I just went ahead and cut out a bunch of the frame and the backing, and then I also cut a few pieces of the backing part out of some cardstock that I use for alcohol markers. So I use the blending card, and I can link this below, but I just went ahead and grabbed some of my favorite Lawn Fawn images and stamped them, and I colored some of them already. So the ones that I'm using today are this Winter Otter. He has a little scarf on and comes with a little peppermint candy cane. I also used these two tag sets. So these are Say What. This is Say What Pets, and this one is Tiny Tag Sayings. And I used both of these today. And I also used this Christmas Dreams set, and I only used one of the elements out of here. Oh, actually I used two, but I love a set that has a fireplace image, and this one is really fun, and I'll show you what I did with that at the end. And so what I'm going to do is take you through two different styles of making these shaker tags. Trying to remember what goes where. The first thing that I did after I colored them was match them with the color of cardstock that I wanted. So for this little dog, I'm going to be using this red foily cardstock, and I already cut that. And I went ahead and just cut with scissors a piece of acetate that fits in the rectangle. And so I'm going to first glue this. This is the back piece of a shaker, but because it has some coloring bleeding through, I'm going to go ahead and just glue it to a piece of the cardstock that corresponds with the front frame. So this is the red foil, and I'm going to go ahead and just glue this down. There we go. And that just gives it a little more finished look. If you wanted to, you could stamp to and from or write a message on this, and it might be easiest if you do it before you would hear it. But, you know, sometimes we make gifts or tags and cards and things before we know who they're ultimately going to belong to. So I have not done that, but that is now adhered. And then this guy, I am using foam strips. I use a lot of the big roll of Scotch foam, like the 3M foam adhesive, but for something like this, I would have to cut really thin strips, and they would have to be pretty consistent. So instead of doing that, I use these foam strips that are adhesive on both sides, and they have At scrapbook.com, they have a number of different packages where you can get different widths of this. And I just keep this one around because I figure I can use 2 or 3 at a time to make it wider if I need to. And I already went ahead and put the foam around the edge here. The important part here is that I have the foam all the way around this rectangle. Since we're going to be putting some shaker elements in here, we want to make sure that nothing is going to fall out. So when I do a shaker, especially if it's not really deep, I like to be picky about putting the little bits in kind of one at a time for a couple different reasons. First of all, I'm using these, and I think they're from Buttons. But they sometimes can be uneven. So this one, not only is it broken, but it is flatter on one side than it is on the other side. So I'm going to toss that one, and I'm just going to go ahead and lay these down and just toss out any ones that I, don't really make me happy. And the other thing is that if you do it this way, you're less likely to get an issue with multiple layers of whatever your shaker pieces are ending up on top of each other. And sometimes they'll just cause a traffic jam in the shaker and not really be able to move easily. And depending on what it is, sometimes you can just shake it a bunch to get it move around, but sometimes, it'll be a little too thick and it's harder to do that. So, I'm gonna throw out this wonky one as well. And so you see this little guy, I colored him, and then I put the scrapbook.com shimmer or glitter pen. It is translucent, and it really just has that silvery kind of sparkle in there. And I just covered that up. And then what I'm going to do is when I make shakers, I try to remember to add a couple of the shaker bits to the background of the shaker. And that way, when things fall to the bottom, there's still a couple of the little bits that are up inside the shaker. Oop. That aren't just falling down at the very bottom of the shaker, because a lot of times they'll be hanging from something. So 1 or 2, and of course depending on how big the item is that I'm working on, like if it was a full A2 size card shaker, I'd probably do more than 2 of these glued to the back. But since it's pretty small, I'm just going to do the 2. That one is broken. I don't really think anyone would really notice that some of these are broken, but since I'm going through them anyway and trying to get them to adhere or to lay flat, figure I always kind of go through them. And once in a while you can find an issue with sequins as well, and sometimes sequins will even be just because of the manufacturing process, there'll be like 2 or 3 that are stacked inside each other, and you have to pull them apart. So now that I have this part done, and I hope that these are over far enough, I am just going to move these up and move some of these down, because I don't want 2 layers of the snowflakes to get caught when I glue this down, or when I take off the foam and adhere it. So I just kind of move those out of the way, still making sure that they're only in one layer as much as possible. And depending on what you're adhering your foam to, you may want to add some white glue or some, some liquid adhesive to your foam. Liquid adhesive on the foam really just gives you a second to kind of wiggle it around. It doesn't just lay flat and then attach. So if you want to do that, you can definitely do a little bit of that. Mine is not cooperating. I hope I'm still in the frame. And then, of course, if you're using specialty cardstocks and things like that, sometimes it will help the foam adhere. If you're using something that's very textured or very, very like glossy, sometimes you'll have a hard time getting the foam to stay. Like it'll attach, and you'll think that it's together, and then it just wants to wander around a little bit. So there's that. That should be just about even. And then once in a while, depending on what I've got going on, I will put something on top of my project so that the glue will stick. And I had an acrylic block, but I don't know where it is. So I'm going to use this little container. And then we'll move on to our otter. So this otter is utterly cute. I said it. And what we're going to do with him today is something a little different. So this is the way that you would make a shaker if you were out of foam or anti-foam, or just wanted to do it this way. What I did was, when I die cut my pieces, I die cut the frame a number of times out of white cardstock. Of course, this could be any color. If you're really invested in the whole thing being blue, you could have it be blue, but I just used white. And I am just going to go ahead and layer these up. Now I have 4 or 5 pieces here, and this was really kind of arbitrary. I have, let's see here. I have an idea of what is going into this one. So of course, if you have something that is really tall, then you may want to put more layers of cardstock, just like, you might put more layers of foam or thicker foam. I don't think I've ever actually used fun foam to do shakers, but a lot of people do it that way. And I just find that I don't get a result that I like from the fun foam when I cut it with a die, mostly because it just really kind of flattens it out. And maybe it depends on your machine. I have a Gemini, and the Gemini motor is really strong, so it flattens everything. So I am just continuing to glue these together. And again, we want to make sure that we have a tight seal around the opening, so none of our bits fall through. And for this guy, I have some sequins. These are light blue, and I think these are actually from the dollar store. I couldn't figure out how I would get a little tiny package like this, but I think that the dollar store sells them in multicolor, or at least they used to. So I am definitely going to be picky about how I add my sequins in. These sequins are the regular size cupped sequins. You can get flat sequins. This is Recollections, and this is actually called metallic glitter. But they're much like sequins. I think it's the same material. So I am just going to lay these in here. Again, try to get them in one at a time. I'm not worried about if the cup is up or down. And I just thought this light blue would be fun just because it's supposed to be underwater. I had thought about coloring in the background, but I didn't. And then I also considered using the teeny tiny water droplets or dewdrops, but they were, even the small ones were just a little too tall, considering that this was as high as I was going on the frame. So let's see here. I'm gonna go ahead and glue a couple of these down. Good pokey tool is in the other room. You can see that glue is kind of smashing out from behind the sequin. It is art glitter glue, so it's going to dry clear, and it's also going to dry matte, so you won't really see it. And maybe one is good. I think one is going to be plenty. Now I'm just going to go ahead. I did cut with scissors a piece of acetate that just fit inside the frame. The acetate that I'm using today I like a lot. It is from scrapbook.com, and it comes in these little shapes, It comes in these little sheets, and I think it might be 20 sheets to a pack, and it's just a few dollars. I always think, oh, I'm going to run out of acetate, but I don't make that many things with it. So, and plus I have a back stock of some random packaging that I have as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and glue this down. Try not to get too much of it to squish out. Come on. There we go. Just gonna glue it down. Fabulous. Now, take this guy, put this under here. Oh, I forgot. Again, this has the marker bleed through. So I'm going to go ahead and put the backing piece on here. And also poke this one out. This blue cardstock that I have is textured and iridescent. I had a few pieces of it in my fancy stash, and I don't know where I got it or who makes it, but it's really beautiful. I don't know that you can even really get the full effect on the video. This wants a little bit more glue right here. Okay. So you can finish these a couple different ways. If you just want to tape it down to a gift, then definitely you don't really need to do much else. If you would like to hang it, then go ahead and grab your twine. You can use baker's twine. If you're using this die, you could use a tiny ribbon. And but I'm just using this black twine, and I'm going to go ahead and just pull it through like a tag. Imagine that. And I'm going to leave it open because I figure when I attach it to something, I want to be able to decide maybe how long I want it, or I can just tie it right around something in a little bow. So that guy is done. And then for this one, I'm going to take some jump rings. So I don't do much beading, but I recently picked up these jump rings to use on another tag shaker, and I have 2 other shaker tag videos that I will link at the end of this one, and I picked these up so that we could use them this way. And the only thing I know about jump rings is that you probably need tools, but also that you're supposed to open them this way and not this way. So I have this other little bauble, and it's got some blue star sequins in it. I'm going to go ahead and hang that. And you can definitely use more than one jump ring if you anticipate how this is going to be hanging from something. But there's that guy. I have a couple more of these Lawn Fawn shaker tags to show you at the end of the video. Okay, for our shaker ornament, I am going to create the ornament without dies or foam. So I am going to be using my favorite circle punch and another circle punch. So this again is just made up of layers of punched circles. And what I'm going to do is cut out a number of circles. I'm going to punch a number of circles. If they're not 100% perfect, then that's fine, because they're going to be covered up and layered in between other cardstock. Whoop. So the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to put one of these circles aside as our backing. Now this one I'm not going to color on, so I'm going to use a piece of white. You can definitely use the corresponding color for the top layer. In this case today I am going to be using this, and this is just some corrugated paper that I found in my stash that I don't remember using in years. or purchasing. So I went ahead and grabbed that, and I just cut from the same punch. This is 3.5 inches. I'll link it below in case you want to check it out. And then I used this 2.25 inch punch to cut out another circle. So it looks a little wonky. It's not even, but it's a design element today. So we are going to try to get the rest of our circles, the side of the backing one, cut out into just about the same placement. So what I did is I just took my smaller punch, put my big circle in there, and I just try to eyeball that it is somewhat even on this side and this side, and also that it is laying flush against the bottom of that punch. So if I were to turn it, you could see that it's all the way at the end, and that is kind of what's going to keep it somewhat similar. Now, definitely not going to be perfect, but we just want to get as close as possible. If you wanted to, if you were concerned about it and you wanted to make sure that it's going to be the same, then you can definitely draw a line and make a couple marks, or just go ahead and take your first one and draw a circle inside the next one to use as a template. If you want to make sure that they are as straight or as similar as possible. First, I'm going to glue in this background piece. So I just used the same punch, only with some glitter cardstock, and I'm going to glue it right in there. This other circle isn't glued down yet. I'm just trying to use it as a template for where this should go. Going to set it in there. And move that. Oh, that's good. Oh, look, there's two. And now I'm going to go ahead and take all of these and layer them together as evenly as possible. So, there's one other thing I want to keep in mind as I do this. If you want to layer items within your frame, that I'll show you that in a second, you want to consider how many of these you're going to glue together before you add another element inside. Let me show you what I mean. So, I'm going to go ahead and start gluing my first set of circles together. And again, want to just make sure for the most part that your glue works, and then that you have, there we go. Have these in about the right, in about the same spot here based on the configuration of that inside punch. seems pretty good. Looks like it might be difficult, but once you run your fingers around the sides of the circle, it kind of just lines itself up. Except when it's already dry by the time you get there. Ooh. There we go. I think I'll do it this way. Now I am going to be putting a few little shaker elements in here, so you want to make sure that your opening in your frame is pretty secure. And so now I'm going to decide how I want these guys. I want to get right around that glitter circle and then right along the edge of that snowflake. That up. Oh, you can see I got some glue in there, but hopefully it'll take care of itself. Now, I think I'm gonna glue this guy down. And you know, maybe I'm not going to put the owl in there. Let's see. Oh, wait a second. I just want to glue the bottom and this top part. And actually, I might not even glue this part. That way I don't have to worry about glue getting everywhere. Once I put the next layer of circles on, it'll figure itself out. Just right on the side here. And I think I'm going to go ahead and add a little birdie. Little birdie. A little purple one. Fabulous. go. This one's going to go right here. I'm going to glue down. See, I'm trying to talk and think at the same time. Talk and think and glue. Glue this down. There we go. So the good thing about this being on acetate too is I can lift it up easily and reposition it. Repositioning. All right. Well, definitely not my best work, but definitely still cute as ever. All right, so here is our little otter. It's a little bauble. Again, I'll have the supplies that I used today linked below. This one is our little puppy. And he has some of those polymer clay, what are those? Snowflakes. And I just used black twine for the hanging part. Then I made one using the stamp set here called Christmas Dreams, but I just ended up using the Christmas tree. And then I just put the jump ring here. And then this last one has polymer clay little, looks like peppermints. And it says do not open until December 25th. And that's from that Tiny Tag Sayings set. And then I'm not sure that I'm very super excited about these guys. However, I showed making one, so I wanted to show you the other ones that I made. And I think what happened for the most part is that I got impatient and I didn't take my time gluing down the layers. And so they were a little wonky. This one with the snow person and the little birdie is still, all the elements I think are still really cute. And I mean, they're not so like I dislike them so much that I'm going to toss them. I'll still use them, and I'll use them probably as tags. This one is the little moose from the Doodlebug collection, and he just has some of those white metallic glitter in there. And this one I just put the one die cut in, And he's kind of hovering in the middle there, so you can see that he's got some of those shaker elements in the front and in the back of him. And then this one is a little bunny, and you can see I put way too much glitter sequins in here, which almost hides the fact that you can see the inside of the frame. What I think I might do though is I might just use my die cuts or my dies and cut a circle that like punch a circle out of another, like the gold cardstock again, and then just use a smaller die and cut a circle from that so that I can make a window that is a little smaller, that still highlights our bunny but covers up this little error that I made here. So I still wanted to share those with you guys. They're still cute and I will keep them around, but I really am in the mode right now of figuring out how I can fix them or make them to where I like them a little bit better. This guy really does need less of this bling in there though too. It's like he's in a blizzard. It's a blizzard. This is my blizzard bunny ornament. Thanks again for watching another video. If you liked any part of this, please take a moment to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you know when my next live goes live and when I load new project videos for you. Thanks again for watching, and don't forget, safety first.